So your boss was getting married. So exciting times. And yeah, so very happy to be here. Okay, Tony's asking what wins your marriage. Oh, I don't think not for another 4 years. So yeah, very happy to be here again. And I think this will be my last summit. So it's good to have being AP delivering the last summit as well. So let's go into the session. It's gonna be a bit about finance. So we have some previous finance people here as well. So good to see you, Vincent. And yeah, so very excited. So let's get started. I hope everyone's ready. Let me start sharing the screen. Okay. So yeah, so today actually, so this will be more or less similar to a keynote. I'll be talking for about 20 minutes, to be honest. But you will get to know a few updates regarding the overall finance and legal standards, and just to have an insight about what you can expect in the next few months, what you're going to look through as well. So basically, the objectives of this session, we have 4 objectives. Starting from what's the kind of current update regarding the finance and legal standards, and then how it's going to look like in terms of standards implementation in the future. And also we will have a small reminder about the Proud Finance Academy. To be honest, like none of the MCPs from AP took it, so I'm a bit sad about it. So remind about that, and then we are going to talk a bit about the finance sustainability metric and the overall concept of it. Yeah. So with that, let's get started. And to be started, I will always remind you what is the bigger picture with regard to finance and legal standards and how all of these come into place. So as you know, our objective, our long-term vision, our long-term ambition is to build a long-lasting ISAC. So this is what we want to achieve by 2025. And what it means by building a long-lasting ISAC in terms of finances, it means ISAC has sufficient financial resources to continue developing leaders for the years to come. So to achieve this objective, we have a strategy which we have it for 5 years, right? So this strategy is called the finance systems evolution. So this is a strategy which the network, AI, or everyone decided for the next 5 years, right? So what it means is that ISAC will be building a sound internal system for which allows us to make decisions regarding financial resources. Okay, so in this bigger picture for 2021. We've been working on 3 projects. One thing is finance standards, one thing is finance data systems, and one thing is finance auditing. So in terms of auditing, even like right now, there are a couple of AP entities who are going through the auditing process, improving the systems. GFB is conducting the audit, which is going really well. Data systems is happening really well. New systems are coming, new ways to process data, new ways to visualize data. Everything's happening as well. And one of the bigger projects that we have been undertaking was finance standards itself. Okay, and if you might remember a bit in the last MCP summit, we talked about kicking off finance standards. It was the first time you got to see the new finance standards, and after a couple of months later, and right now, you will get to see like what's the kind of progress that we have been making in terms of finance standards. So as you know, right now we have 8 standards. So these are the 8 standards. I hope you remember the colors, fully remember the logos, remember at least those ones. But one of the things that we have been working on, not only standards, but building an ecosystem around the standards. So as you know, we have 8 standards, but moving on, there's a checklist, right? Under each standard, there is a checklist of the things that you need to achieve in order for us to be achieving these standards. And this checklist come to 103 points. So under legalities, under accounting, all of this comes, they are up for 103 points. And how this overall connects again is that all of this checklist is measured by the GFB, right? So what we have been working on in the last few months, and you might have also experienced a bit of, when you're filling the GFB survey, not you, like your VP Finance, maybe complaining a little bit more than usual. And what's happening is that essentially there's a lot of things that follows through the checklist, which is being measured by GFB. And apart from that, we've been creating education for all the standards that needs to be happen. So this is the kind of the ecosystem entirely, which is built around finance and legal standards over the last year, actually. Right. Okay. So now I just give a recap of what has happening. So the next question is, okay, what's the way forward for semester two? Because you will be going into replanning in maybe like a month. And when you go into replanning, you really want to kind of replan based on the standards, and you want to prioritize certain standards. Okay. So to help for this, what we have done is actually we've created a simple dashboard for you to continuously monitor your finance standards. So this is apart from the GFB dashboard, which we are using here, is to easily monitor this. So I'm going to put this on the chat. So you can also just go and check it. I will just quickly show you this dashboard. So if you go to this, let me show you. Oh, I actually have loaded it before. So if you go to this, you can actually go to this entity tab, and you can kind of check, how are your standards are happening. So let's check LKA, because that's also my entity. So if you go to the standards implementation of Sri Lanka and check as at September 30th, so Sri Lanka has 96% legalities, 98% accounting, 96% budgeting, reporting 96%, analyzing is less, 69%, investing is 85%, auditing 94%, and risk management 73%. So this is like the current position which ISAC in Sri Lanka is on. So you can of course select your entity and check what's the process. Why am I showing this? Because this is important for you to check what are the things that is missing, so that you can actually take forward for your replanning. Okay, so all of this is also delivered in Proud Finance Summit, but some of this is being recorded to you as MCP, so that you can also work with synergy with your MCVP Finance. Okay, so also for the second semester, what you will be also having in the MC planning tool is also to plan your priorities with regard to the each standard. So this is also again with your MCVP Finance is there, but just for you to have an understanding, we'll have all the standards and we'll have month by month, so that you can actually plan based on, okay, you look at the dashboard and you see like, okay, in this accounting, maybe you're less in your entity and you really need to plan for this, so that in the second semester, you can actually put elements here so that you can improve this. And if you want to learn more about, how to do this, what are the kind of knowledge you need, of course, you need to go to the Proud Finance Academy, right? So once you go there, you will actually see a lot of content regard to the all 8 standards. So I'm also going to put again a reminder in the chat, the link which you can financing. Okay, just give me a second. MCP. So you can go here, you can do it. I really want to see some APMCPs doing it, like everyone doing it. So I hope you will at least do this before replanning comes, especially the courses regarding to accounting and budgeting, that will really enhances you the output of replanning. So I hope you do it. But apart from that, I want to celebrate something else. MCVPs did it. Okay, even though the MCPs didn't do it, of course MCPs are busy, but MCVPs did it, and we have the best out of the AP region, and we actually have ISAC in Nepal was completing the highest everything in terms of that. So congratulations to ISAC in Nepal. So Diksha was the MCVP, is the MCVP Finance, and yeah, so congratulations, and also encourage your MCVP Finances to also complete this and get this wonderful certificate for you and your VP Finance as well. But yeah, I just wanted to recognize this as well. And with that, okay, so few of my objectives are already completed. I give you the update what is going to happen. And in terms of replanning, it's very simple. I'm not going to give you anything complicated. It's just that you look at the standards and you plan based on the standards what you want to achieve. And if you want to go in detail, of course, in the finance and legal, in the academy, you have in detail about every standard, which is there as well. Yeah. Thank you, Prayog, for the message as well. And with that, we are going to the next part of this keynote, which is talking a bit about sustainability. So this is like an interesting part which I wanted to communicate to you. When I'm talking about sustainability, I actually have a question for you. What is the difference between sustainability and profitability? So I'm ready to listen to some of the MCPs here. So all this time I was just speaking, but I'm excited to see some answers. Let's go. Okay, do we have in the chat? No idea. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I'll try to answer. So profitability is pretty much like revenue basis on how much like profit you can, or largely to do with ROI. But profit doesn't determine sustainability, because sustainability is how much you spend. There's budget involved. That's how you're going to execute that budget, as well as the long-term planning on whether you can sustain or not. So I guess that's my understanding. Yep.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Anyone else? Thank you. Anyone else who wants to add anything else?
My very rough understanding is that profitability is applied to individual products. So a product might have level 1 or 2 profitability, for example. But sustainability isn't applicable in that sense. Although I'm genuinely not sure what metrics you'd use for sustainability, apart from maybe MOCR, apart from MOCR. Yeah, sorry, Navo. I'll do Proud Finance here this week.
Okay. Okay. So this is again a kind reminder for you to do the academy for everyone. But I think that's a good point. Yeah, we can answer this thing, because this debate has been happening for a long time. Because always we throw in the word sustainability whenever we want, right? Like a buzzword. Whenever I say, well, okay, we'll throw in sustainability so that everything seems okay. But one of the things we really want to clarify with regard to new finance standards as well, because the finance standards are supposed to drive an entity towards in the direction of sustainability. But to kind of differentiate this, I would just verbally differentiate this for now. It's whenever we talk about profitability, we are talking about being able, like creating financial profits out of a product, right? So if a product is profitable, that is, profitability is a measure of if the product is profitable. What do we mean by profitable is that the product actually generates money out of it, right? So we talk about, like, okay, GT is profitable, EWA is profitable. That means the product actually brings in money. But in the concept of the idea of sustainability, it's a bigger conversation where we talk about a lot about legalities, a lot about other factors which affects the reason for that product or anything to work on the long run. Just because it's profitable, it doesn't mean, okay, it's going to happen in the long run. It might be profitable today, and tomorrow you might have to shut it down because you are doing it illegally, right? But sustainability is a measure more of, it's a comprehensive measure looking at a lot of more components, which allows us to see like whether we can continue to do this in the long run, okay? And with that, I don't know if you remember this. We talk about this level 0 sustainability, level 1 sustainability, level 2, right? You remember this. But we are no longer going to use this, okay? So why we are no longer going to use this is actually all of these formulas which we use to create level 0, level 1, level 2 is actually a measure of profitability. It was never a measure of sustainability. If you know a little bit of how the formula happened, it actually checks whether you have made a gross profit or a net profit. To be honest, that's it, right? I see Vincent also agrees as a former VP finance, but this is a huge misconception which we have been taking down, and which misled a lot of entities to falsely think that, okay, we are sustainable, these products are sustainable, when that's not the case. And we see, like Isaac, how Isaac is suffering in terms of sustainability. But that's why we want to clarify and give clarity to entities that, okay, we are no longer going to use this inaccurate metrics and super falsified metrics. And that's why we are scratching off level 0, level 1, level 2, which never helped anyone. And we are going to use, if we want to measure profitability, we are going to use the universal metrics which are available to every other company in this world, which is gross profit margin, and net profit margin. Because this is a measure of profitability, which shows you that if the product brings in money or not. Simple as that, right? And now this is the idea of profitability. Then you might ask, okay, now profitability, we understand. Okay, you scratched off some metrics, you gave some universal metrics, which everyone knows, you can Google it. Then what is going to happen for sustainability? Then how do we going to measure sustainability? So that's the next question. To answer that, so we went through a small summit process, and out of that, I'm just going to skip this one. Out of that, what we decided was, of course, we need another metric called a sustainability index, which allows us to measure sustainability. Because profitability is now clear, right? Everyone's clear about it. Gross profit margin, net profit margin, done. But now we want to measure sustainability. So in order for us to measure this, we want a clear metric, right? So that is why we are working on the process of creating a metric which allows us to measure sustainability overall of the entity. Okay, so financial performance is measured by financial metrics, and overall sustainability, which has the idea of whether we can continue things in the long run, is measured by a sustainability metric. I hope it's fairly clear for you as for now. And then we have the problem, what does it mean by financial sustainability? We need to define it. If we want to measure it, we need to have a clear definition. So we worked on this, we created a definition, we asked the people, and this is at least how we have defined financial sustainability is. So financial sustainability is in the scope of the organization. In our organization is having enough financial resources to continue the desired scale of operations for the foreseeable future. So what it means that if you're financially sustainable, you have the financial resources, you can continue the level of operations which you want, not like one exchange or one product or one event, but on the scale which you decide for the foreseeable future, so that it's sustainable in the longer run. So these are the components which we wanted to address inside of the metric. And so we have more of how we design the principles, all of that. But one of the main principles that we considered was we want to consider not only internal factors, but also external factors. Because a lot of countries or territories go through a lot of external situations, like political situations, external effects, which affects the sustainability of the entity itself and the products itself. For example, if your entity cannot run certain things, you cannot make it sustainable because of the political situation, right? So these kind of things actually affect sustainability overall. Maybe not profitability, but sustainability, yes. So that's why we really wanted this metric to capture that. So with all of these intentions, we've been working on creating a draft set of variables for us to measure sustainability. So now you might ask, I'm going to set the expectation. Once I explain this, there is no call to action for you, right? Why? Because we are presenting this in terms of the metrics which we have brainstormed, and we'll be working on piloting this for the next 6 months, right? So the next semester of your term, we'll be checking this. So the timeline is there. We check first at TLC, then at IC, we do the final check. So we'll be measuring this based on the decided metrics, and we are going to play around, kind of A/B testing, kind of this kind of a testing thing, right? So that's why it's just for you to understand what is the reason behind this, because as MCP you need to know this, but there is nothing you need to do, because this is feeder, like the metrics are, the input data comes from GFB itself, right? So you don't have to do anything, but itself it measures. But what you need to do is we'll ask for your feedback once you calculate the metric. Okay, for an example, we'll ask from Vincent, like, okay, we calculated this. What do you think about this? Does it really represent the situation of Isaac in New Zealand? You say yes or no, then we get that feedback, then we improve. So this is what's going to happen for the next 6 months. So I just want to set that expectation. So with that, I'm going to explain what we have designed for right now. Okay, so the matrix going to call financial sustainability index, which will have two components, which will have internal factors as well as external factors, right? And in terms of internal factors, there are going to be two parts, which is financial and which is legal. So these are internal. And in terms of external, we are going to have economic conditions and other kind of factors. I'll explain more, right? In financial factors, we are again dividing it into three components. The first thing is called liquidity and solvency. What does it mean? Liquidity and solvency actually measures a lot about whether your entity is in debt. Are you going bankrupt? So this kind of a thing is being measured by these metrics, right? So if you're suddenly gonna bankrupt in next month, it's gonna track this inside of that. Profitability is measures like from the products which you're running, are you actually profitable? That is what is being measured. And efficiency is actually a measure of cash flow. Are you effectively managing your cash flow? So these three pillars can combine to provide you an insight regarding what's the kind of thing which is happening financially. Then of course, legal is straightforward. Are you legal or not? Simply, that. And economic conditions capture a lot about economic situation of the entity. So I'm not going to go in detail because it's too much. Probably you even don't know these metrics. That's not the objective of this, but I want to show you as MCP, you need to know this is happening, and you will be involved in the future. But in the bigger picture, this is how it looks like. So liquidity and solvency, profitability, efficiency, legal, and economic conditions have GDP as well as unemployment, which tracks both of these as well. And in the other factors, we are using an index called Prosperity Index and COVID-19 vaccination rates. So these are a bit of temporary metrics. We are going to try out these metrics. And in the end, maybe half of this will be gone, right? We never know, because we want to try this out, pilot this out, and see what are the metrics really represent the situation of sustainability. So based on the principles we set. So right now, these are all the variables that we have. You don't need to go in detail now, but of course, I've given you a link. This we'll send across through Tony as well later. You can go in detail. It's an Excel sheet. You can see, more in detail details, and kind of you can get to know more about this. And you can work with your MCP Finance just to understand if you want to create certain metrics inside of your own entity, you can use this as a reference as well. And yeah, so to be honest, that's all. This content is also available in the Proud Finance Academy, like more explanations there as well. So with that, I just want to again reminder to take the Finance Academy, because that will really help you for your next semester to kind of, at least push on the direction of budgeting and accounting, because that will really help you to improve your data, improve your accuracy, improve your decision making, all of that. And also accurate data will reflect in the distribution models, how you get invoiced, all of that, all of this as well. So yeah, with that, I want to wrap up. This is what the whole project's going to look like. Starting from March, we've been working on creating the standards. Now we have the standards. Now we have the checklist. Now we have the questions. Now we have the education. Now we also have a metric to kind of measure sustainability. We clearly understand what is the difference between sustainability and profitability. And with that, we can, kind of wrap it up. Yeah, that's all what I have to kind of give you now. I think I have about 5 more minutes for questions if you have. Of course, I didn't go in detail of each metric because that's not the objective. I'm here to give you the base concept as MCP. That's what is important for you. Yeah, so I'm open for questions if you have any questions at any point of this keynote. Yeah.
I have 2 questions now. But first is about the COVID vaccination rate. What considerations have been given to how long this is going to be in effect? Or is it going to be like year by year, we'll just reevaluate?
Exactly. For now, I think the idea is to keep it for a maximum of 2 years, but then this metric will be removed. This is now to get a clear picture of representing whether your entity can strive for sustainability based on that. But of course, if the data doesn't really give us a picture in the next 6 months, we will remove it. But we will be testing this as a component to see.
The second question I have, and thank you for that. The second question is regarding receivable days.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering what the what the average accounts receivable of an entity is, maybe of like the top 50 entities in terms of BD or something like that. Because I would like to understand what entities do to help collect their money owed.
Okay, but I'm not clear about the question.
Yeah, so what is the average accounts receivable?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For now, I'm not very sure, but we did this for the budget analysis. Generally, it's about 30 days. That's what we got the average. But I can give you a more accurate picture of the top, like separating entity, because once you average it, it's actually wrong, because average data is never working nicely, right? Yeah. But what I can tell you is that when you're doing this metric, actually, we are only taking partners' revenue versus sales, like partner sales versus receivables from partners only. We're not taking any other revenues like OGV revenues. We don't take it. we have a chart of account for each product called revenue from partners, right? So we only accumulate all the data from the partner accounts because that's only where the receivables, the bottleneck is. So we only take that. But I can actually give you give you the top 50, what's the receivable days for now using the GFB data we have now. Yeah.
I can PM you later about it then.
Yeah, I'll give you.
All right, thanks, boss.
I have 2 more minutes.
Yeah. Now, does this sound like when it comes to the external factors, these external factors will change constantly, while the internal factors will remain the same?
You mean the metrics themselves or the data?
The metrics and the data also reflected by that?
The data will constantly be pulled out. Like every month, this will be updated from the GFP data for the internal factors, and for the external factors, we will, like for example, GDP, the World Economic, we are getting from the World Bank data. So every year they update it. So these things get updated in that frequency. So unemployment data we get from OECD, GDP from World Bank, Prosperity Index from prosperityindex.com. COVID vaccination rate is from our World data. So these are the 4 things we are using, but those are based on their rate of frequency of publishing data. But the internal factors change monthly from the GFP data. But the metrics itself can change. Something will be removed, something will be inside of this in the next 6 months because we are getting feedback throughout this. We are testing, but this is the first set of metrics we are going to test. Yeah. But if you have a suggestion, okay, you should use this one. Inflation, give it to us. Like tell us. We've been also discussing, debating, asking externals about certain metrics. But if you feel that's in the sheet also, you can add it. You can put your name and actually add it there as well. And so we'll be testing this, what really represents the sustainability of an entity. Hopefully we can figure it out in the next 6 months, what really represents sustainability, not profitability. Profitability is very clear. Like don't use level 0, level 1. That's, to be honest, like not good. But yeah, it's very bad. So don't use it anymore. But yeah, you can use this later on. Yeah.
And one more question. Like when we are using this within our entity, can we customize it like certain factors?
Of course, yes, you can. If you want to have a better version of this, you can create it because you will get the backend of this and you will have the data access, how it happens as well. So of course, you can do your own version of this, but this will be more of in the global dashboard after we finalize this. Yeah. I think that's it from my side. My time's up. But of course, you can just DM me if you have any questions. I'll be very happy to receive a message.
Amazing. Thank you, Neville. Yeah, please, if you have any other question, especially when it comes to the finance, how to implement it, how to talk to your MC Finance. I'm sure the finance center we also have a high achievement there, but for sure, still we can improve more, especially when it comes to investment and also context there. So I hope, don't forget to take Finance Academy. Then you can know how to communicate with your finance. Yes, low we are highest, but we can make it better for sure. Thank you, Neville. Enjoy your